Okay, so here's the follow-up breakout on server routes using Express. And we have 2 learning objectives for this second session, which is to describe the parts of a route and create a get route. So let's pull open the code that we were working with in the first session. And in particular, this app.get, right? So this is a route. When you're writing a server, different routes will do different things. And that way your client can say, hey, I want this. Here's a path. Give me that. That path can include information in the form of parameters, which you will learn about later. Or it can be static, like I want all, like if we decided that we were gonna serve up some other things, we could put dogs, and then our request would have to go to root/dogs to get this information.
And could you do like dogs.name just to get the dogs' names?
You can't do dogs.name here. Like okay. You could, when we get into databases, or even you could write a simple function for this, and you will when you get to the standard. Write a simple function that takes this object, finds the information you want, and then returns that information. That's called a query. And yeah, so you can say, like, if I just want names, here's the query that gets just names. Or I'll just go ahead and show you guys. If you do like, so let's say they had, well, we'll just do name for now. There we go. Okay. So this path, if I did get dog/Kiki, I could then grab the whatever's in this variable, whatever included in that path, and use it to query for Kiki.
Say that again?
So if I have dogs.name, I can access that parameter in here to query it. So I could say
objects, values.
Let dog name equal request. Nope. params.name. So we will log that out so I can show you it. I'm not going to write a query right now. That's a little much, but I'll show you how you can get that. So you have some ability to seek specific things with how you write your routes and how you request those routes. Right? So we have our Express server. We have our type of request. We have our path, in this case involving params. And we have a function here that accepts request and response.
So when you're saying route, this whole thing is the route?
This function is a route.
So the whole, yeah, okay.
Exactly. So this is a callback function, a function that is a parameter of another function. And it's taking request and response. These are built in to the framework. It knows what those are without us. It knows that request is whatever it got from the client. It knows that response is what it's getting back. And you set the response in your route.
Okay.
What do we call that again, sorry?
A callback?
Callback.
Yeah.
So for demonstration purposes, we have these 2 things in the same file, right? But normally the data with the dogs would live in a different place, and that's what you're going to access to come back.
Yeah, usually it would be in like a library file, or if it lives on your server, or a database. Yeah, we're just...
Got it.
Would this actually access that?
Access what?
Would this actually work? Because dogs is not a directory, right?
So this is not referencing a directory. This is what you reference to get this route.
Okay.
So this is, we can call this anything we want. I could call it potato. And as long as I put that in my request, this is what I would get back. I'll show you pathing when we go to Postman. All right, so stop and think about the structure for 10 seconds to yourselves. Ben, why don't you tell me what from function to response here is?
Is this starting to get into like CRUD and all that
We
stuff?
are getting into
Okay.
CRUD, yes.
Only down a little bit.
That is an unfortunate name.
Yeah. Well, it's just taking whatever parameters are in that, like the first slot and the second slot, and replacing them with what you read the function request. Pointing to response. I don't know.
What is this called?
Callback function.
Callback.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. And what is this part in the quotes, Sarah?
Route. The path route.
No. So this whole thing's the route.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
The path.
Yeah. This is the path to get to that route. All right. And then the get here is Paul.
The get is that's function.
Accurate. It's a method. It's the type of request.
Type of request.
And then
So as in like how listen, use, or other types of requests for that app?
so listen and use are kind of purely methods. What I mean is, remember when I pulled up Postman this morning and I showed you there was a list? We'll get deeper into that. There are a number of different types of requests that behave differently. Get is one type of request. So like push,
Update.
delete, update, no, post, that's what I was thinking of,
Post. Put.
and put.
Quote.
Huh?
Quote. Did you say?
Put.
Put.
And then the app at the beginning, Emily.
I don't know, is that reference to the file that you're in, which is name tag?
I can see how that's confusing. Let's see, Brian, do you know?
Negative.
Negative?
Isn't it telling you what to do with the express variable that you've named that uses cores?
I see what's it.
That's pretty close. That's
Yeah.
basically right.
So app is where we have stored our express app.
So what do we call that? What's the terminology? Just
So app is we're actually referencing this express instance.
So that word could be cat, and it could be like const cat, cat.use, and then cat.get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that.
So yeah, we have called it app here as a variable, and this is all referencing that variable. App is a very common. What's the word I'm looking for?
Label.
variable name.
Yeah. It's kind of a good standard. So we're getting a feel for the different parts of the route. Anyone struggling with any parts of this right now?
You said you're gonna get into the path.
Yes.
Because that doesn't make because if you think about file path, doesn't make sense to me how it's written right now.
Okay. Yeah.
But
We
we're
will
gonna get into
definitely get into that.
And then my secondary question, when we are declaring dog name with request.params.name, why do we not want to use response.params.name?
Because the response is what we're actually sending out. At the beginning of this, there's no response. We set the response here. So in Express, your response dot whatever is essentially your return statement. This is the end result of the route. And everything in there is just JavaScript. So anything you can do in JavaScript, you can do within this callback function. Does that help?
Okay.
because request is what is coming from the client. In this case, the path that it's accessing is part of that request.
So when this first fires, the response is empty?
I don't know. My understanding, and I will happily be corrected at a later time, but my understanding is that like this is kind of a placeholder. Express knows there's going to be a response, and it's going to be formatted like X. It's going to have these standard headers. Here you set it, and when it sees response called, it knows it's time to actually send it with whenever you pass it. That's my understanding of it. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. I guess I'm confused why you have to pass in that argument then in the first place.
That has to do with how Express moves through your code. And we will talk about that later.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. So let's get into what's happening when you actually make the request, and then I'm going to have you guys install Postman and write your own. Let me demonstrate here. So first of all, I should start NodeMon. There we go. All right, NodeMon's running. And you may have noticed previously, if you have like an error that your code won't even run, NodeMon will tell you. It's super nice. So if I go into Postman and I run this GET request, what do you predict is going to happen?
It's gonna be the exact same.
Anyone else?
I think you're only gonna get the names, so you're gonna get Kiki and.
Yeah.
Hold your thought. Anyone else?
I was wrong.
You were. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and run it. Wait, it worked.
That shouldn't happen.
Oh, it's because I didn't save. All right, now if I run it, cannot get.
It's because of the path name.
Exactly, because I changed the path name, but I'm still trying to access root. There's nothing at root. There's no route to handle that request. So I need to do dogs /
We can't see what you're typing.
I don't know if I can. Oh, I can't. Cool. How's that?
Okay.
Better? So I've typed in Kiki. Does it make sense to everyone what's happening when I type Kiki here versus the route that I wrote?
That's what you're requesting? No, that's the route.
That's the route. In my request, it's :name. But that's basically a variable, right? That I'm filling with Kiki when I send this request.
Mm-hmm.
So if I send this, I get the same thing back. And that's because I didn't change my code to do anything with this name variable. All I did was log it. So if I go into NodeMon, look, there's Kiki logged out because I accessed it into this dog name variable.
Why do you get both the names instead of just one?
In my actual response here,
Yeah.
I didn't change the code. All it's responding with is the array dogs.
So then why do you need the path to Kiki instead of just the
With
path
dogs
to
just
dog?
In this case, it doesn't matter.
Because that would have just worked with it, just if we just put a slash.
I just did that to show you guys how a GET request can be specified. So like you might use it to get a user ID and get just their data.
So when you specified Kiki, it brought back everything.
Because I had, this code doesn't matter for the route, like
Right.
this is what's displaying in Postman. It's just this line.
Because it's the response.
Yes.
So it would come back no matter what you put in there?
No, as long as, well, no matter what I put in this field, yes.
Okay.
Um,
Then where you put Kiki in, I guess I don't fully understand why it didn't come back name or why it didn't just come back just Kiki and all, like Kiki Falls, like why it gave you everything.
because I would have to write a query that takes this variable of dog name and searches the array for that. I haven't written the code to do that.
So it's kind of just acknowledging that you made a request for something.
Yes, like,
Like what would happen if you searched like Bart though? Like it would, and so something that's not in dogs, it would still come back the same?
because I'm not actually searching anything. So far, I'm just passing that information to the route. So here, let me give you an example.
I'm having a hard time real understanding how they're relating to each other if you can just put in anything and the
So-
same things would come back every time.
That's only due to the code that I've written.
Okay.
So in order, I'm gonna just pseudocode it for now,
Okay.
but in order to use that, so like, I would need to have, a query function that accepts the dog name variable, and then searches dogs and returns the object with dog name. And then here I would send response with the output from the query function instead of this. So that's what would have to happen for this to actually be applied to what I'm sending.
Okay.
I threw it on there as an example, and it sounds like I probably shouldn't have, because it's kind of muddling things.
Okay.
So let's just ignore that for now.
Okay.
We will leave it at dogs.
Okay.
Can we just leave it at slash? Will we do the same thing?
It will. I've wiped out my entire function, but that's okay. It's okay. Response dot JSON dogs. Okay, I'm sorry about that, you guys.
That's okay.
So I'm gonna leave it at dogs because I want you guys to code this next one, and when you're done, we're going to add it into my code. So I want you to create another const with fruit, called fruits, which is an array of objects, the name, and, oh gosh, please don't.
It's
And ranking of your top 3 fruits. Okay, All right. Now I'd like you guys to write out, let's start with just the app.get, open parenthesis, and then fill in the rest pointing to root, to slash, just until you get to the brackets for your function.
So you just mean just this? That are up here, yeah.
Oh, did you guys type all that out?
Yeah, put it in
All right,
Okay,
go
still-
to
still
path
far.
fruits. Go to path fruits. I mean, I'd like you to type it out again. If you did write it previously.
So the fruits come too far after this, after this forward slash. Oh, okay.
You're gonna have me type in a lot of routes. The closer this gets to muscle memory, the happier you'll be. When you're like, oh gosh, I need to write 10 routes.
There's no like special, hit one thing and hit tab.
No, well, I suppose I haven't looked for an express autocomplete. I'm gonna see behind you here.
Get into it. Get into it, Tom.
Jumping ahead. That's adorable. Alright, so your function needs to take 2 parameters. Alright, so now go ahead and response.json groups. Alright. Now, I should have done this at the beginning, sorry guys. We're going to have, I know some of you have Postman, but if you don't have Postman, it is time to install it.
Just call it whatever. It has to be fruits. What? Yeah, what is the let request parameters name? You said that's not, we don't need that?
No.
But what is that actually doing? Or is that a hassle?
Let me send this out and get people installing this, and we can potentially talk about it.
Okay.
All right, so if you do not have Postman installed, please install it. You can open these in your browser, but Postman will give you so much more information. Let me see.
Which is, what is, you said that one is not
Oh,
necessary, but
yeah.
what is it actually doing
So
in
it is,
theory?
if you had a parameter, which you currently don't in your path, that colon name was a parameter. Different kind of parameter.
Okay,
You would be able to access it and store it in a variable.
gotcha, okay. Nice. That happened to me, I had to restart it.
Did you restart your computer?
No, just
Postman.
Postman, yeah. Yeah, after you make like an account, I just went blank.
All right, once you have Postman up and running, hands off your keyboard.
Touch the puppies. Sensitive subject.
So we're signing up for an account too.
No, you can do that later if you want. I don't think I ever did.
I think
As
I
soon as I
log
open
every-
I just did it with my
Oh,
Google.
Oh, is it a Google login?
Yes.
Sorry, it's been like 7 months.
So you went to
Oh.
almost 3,000, that's
Yeah.
what,
Well, there it is.
are you doing in Postman?
I just accidentally typed in my password. It's
I'm not asking this to make fun of you, but your favorite matches the ground.
Cannot get friends.
I think I have like a phone book.
Hold on, you guys.
I ordered it.
Look at that.
It's,
You're still in some ways.
but yeah, it's not gonna be your back.
So this is saying get just the back slap.
It's all so bad. It's a
Hey,
fucking
what did you do to like trickle
When
that?
I built my
Just
couch,
a
I had to
little
go
into
sit
the
to the
folder
back
and then, you know,
of it and see if my legs would be propped up enough. So my feet wouldn't be hanging at an angle that would fit right around my knees. And the
Oh.
couch guy was like, oh my god, I've never watched a small person buy a couch before.
I'm just in this.
Who says that?
No, he did not.
You did?
Oh
I was
my,
like, I'm not a real small person. I'm just short. Like, so mine just like stopped. I signed up in Google and it just stopped.
apparently you need to restart it.
Yeah.
Restart
Oh, so
Postman?
Yes.
That happened to me and I had to authorize.
I just checked it. I authorized it, but yeah.
So as like everything else, Postman has their own docs that you can reference if you want to get deeper into using it to test your APIs. All right, good. Over here.
I guess I'm at the restarting phase.
Yeah.
Okay. Just about there. Cool. So go ahead and if you haven't, run npm run dev in the terminal.
Is there anything before that though? I got app crashed when I tried to do that. I X'd out of that whole terminal between the last one.
Run
and this.
dash
Zillion
dev or
errors.
just run space D?
Huh?
Run dash dev?
No, run space or npm space run space dev.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I will come take a look. And your app crashed.
Yes, and it crashed again.
Okay, throw error unhandled error event. Oh, did you close the window or did you
Yeah,
close
no,
it by
definitely.
turn?
Does it take?
I probably just closed the window.
Try restarting my turn.
Okay.
If that doesn't work, we're going to have a fun Googling adventure. Your core is already in use. You left NodeMon running.
I do that
Close
sometimes.
NodeMon when you're done. Not right now. I think that's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah,
Are you in the same folder with your package.json?
yeah, it's supposed to be yellow and then green.
Run npm install.
So,
Where did you
fruit
put
slash
it?
fruits don't work
Okay. Try it
Did you
now.
type it up here?
on
And
Postman.
all of this?
Yeah, now that Node
Oh, you
is
did,
running.
yeah.
No, I mean I did and it didn't, it said cannot get.
Wait, how did you?
But then when I just put
This is
slash,
what
it
you're
gave me
doing.
back the fruits.
Alright, let me
Object.
see here. Are you in the same folder as your package
The URL
JSON?
request was what? Localhost
Run npm install.
3000/fruits.
I don't know how to use Postman. So,
Okay.
sorry, I'm,
Oh, you're just pressing on. Okay, you got that.
Well, okay.
Try running.
I forgot the P in response.
I was just doing the Chrome,
Response is not
Okay,
found.
that's another
Oh,
problem.
shit.
Yeah, run npm run dev.
I was just doing the Chrome localhost 3000,
Yeah, I'm still getting the same errors.
which works.
Yeah.
I was just commenting on this fact. When I did slash, it worked.
Crashing right now.
I changed it to fruits.
Breaking everybody else's.
Right, because now you're not in the root directory, you have to go into
Mine is
/fruits.
still doing the exact same.
Ah,
Oh, sorry.
Let me see your package.json.
but what? Like,
I have a package.
what's the point?
Don't worry about it.
I don't know. I just work here.
I just work here.
Oh, there's an
Learn here.
E in NodeMon.
So it is.
NODEM.
Yeah, it is. And then if I do.
That's how you can find the whole.
Yeah, then it should be able to find NodeMon. Oh, we go back to app.js. These need to be comma much.
So easy.
Semicolon?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
No.
Alright, you should be good to go.
I
There's a lack. Lack doesn't tolerate.
had a
sweet
typo,
loves the
but now
sweet
so I'm in the
cream
folder. I did
There it is.
run
It's
npm
running.
dev.
It's over.
Okay,
It
but
sounds like it's just
is this
all
straight
down.
from the beginning?
I just saw it creamy.
And I set localhost. Yeah, so I changed it. That was the typo. And so I've got response.
Ice cream is
I've got
side
response
cream
now,
Okay.
but it's still free.
Cake. I
Should
think
I
it was
do
really
it?
nice.
Like, Real Housewives.
Oh, that was all. Okay, don't listen to me.
Sorry.
It's
When
right.
they-
When they-
So NodeMon automatically restarts, Postman does not.
See, like,
Alright.
it's crash. Mine is saying app crash waiting for file changes before starting.
That's what I had.
Go ahead and hit Control C, and do the dev, npm run dev again.
So what's the whole point of Postman?
Do you need to see the code? Oh, which we didn't write it in mine. So app.get. Oops. Still nothing?
I'm missing a parenthesis. I don't know. After argument list.
Oh, at the very end of your function, there needs to be a closing bracket and a.
What you saying? Go on.
Oh, you have that.
Do I need to get rid of this one?
So why would we use Postmon, or Postmon? What do we just do it on, we could just put it out.
Misspellings, misspellings.
So I think this
I'm
is
super
like
guilty.
the back end,
Mm-hmm,
and that's.
Good. Cool.
okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so
So like this is our console, be responsible all your here,
Sure,
but.
probably show it
We're
there.
not showing it.
Okay,
Which is what should show in the function.
right, that's what I was commenting out.
okay, so your function should look, or your route should look something like this. And if you go to Postman and go to localhost 3030 fruits, it should pull up your fruit list. And you want to be sure that your request type is GET. That's usually the default. When I was talking about other types of requests, it's a bit of a list.
Holy shit.
Fist bumps for everyone.
We're
Okay.
gonna
It's
go
weird,
in
like, it works for
here,
8,000.
and hit the localhost 30, I'm assuming we're supposed to
It
go
doesn't like it.
listen 30.
Alright.
Like,
That should-
I didn't see what she's.
App.listen 3000.
Yeah.
3,000 or 3,000?
Are we doing
The other,
Do
oh,
I need
3,000.
the slash?
I thought I heard
your
this.
Okay.
Yeah, so here, then just go to.
Okay, so that's just adding to the file.
Okay.
Interesting.
Marlena,
Yeah.
can you just kind of set the stage
I
for
was
me?
gonna
What
say,
what is Postman used for? What's the whole purpose of this?
So it's for API development, aka server development. API and server will be thrown around interchangeably a lot.
It still didn't.
So it exists to let you go make HTTP requests without actually having a client-side
So it
script.
works with.
Oh.
So before you've written any JavaScript
Fruits.
to access
Still
the
not, so
API,
we
you
need
can
to
still
add
go and
slash.
make sure that the routes return what you
Slash.
expect.
Okay. So it's like for testing APIs and testing
Right,
servers.
I
Okay.
gotcha.
Were they supposed
Well,
to
why
have
would I do that?
They might be out, mine are out of order because I wrote them out of order.
Yeah, but were we supposed to write them out of order? No, okay.
It's just a data set.
I didn't know if we were
I-
gonna
it's
like do
not
something
working.
to organize.
Really?
Yeah.
This is like this fun, browser history, picture or something. There's no clue actually, and then the array change that.
Chat, yeah, it's like you need to reveal it or something.
And I have comments on every single day.
In my terminal.
Did you make all these last night?
I only got to see two of them.
Oh, okay. I love that first great. Yeah.
It's colon 3000.
I thought that first one was really,
Like,
really
this is
cool.
not my phone, so I don't want to
Only
create
time
it.
it's
It's
supposed to be
actually
recorded,
like
it's not actually
Right. It was, it also didn't work here.
Stressed about that already. Yeah.
Dogs,
Already, because you got so many that I can just.
So, make it happen.
Broke down in my froze it.
I can't solve a problem here in Denver with like my mind.
And this is my
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still right. I can't get this to work.
I'm sure.
That's what happens.
Wonder, like now that
I
I
was
got
really
something.
excited.
Yeah.
I just survived.
But then the fruits doesn't work in the browser.
I know.
The other things that work, you know, like don't cancel on.
Yes, I searched configure.
That's a
cancel
bad, that's a
off.
bad idea.
And that's what you when you search configure don't cancel off, that's what you get.
Oh my god.
I know, it's so bad.
Oh, yes!
Oh, slack it out, slack it out, slack it.
I think that's inappropriate.
What's going
I
on?
don't need any of it.
Is that what's going down in Hasselhoff is? Would you say?
I
Now I can't get out of my mind.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Oh,
Postman, I believe, puts in HTTP for you.
Gotcha.
I don't know why.
Mine didn't.
Huh?
Did you, was I supposed to click get? I wrote that.
Huh?
I wrote that in? I don't understand.
You wrote get in Postman?
No, I just wrote local host, whatever, and no HTTP.
Yeah, yeah.
And mine
Is
wouldn't
it
work
okay
with
to
the
do?
Yeah.
HTTP.
Yeah.
oh, weird.
Postman assumes HTTP unless you give it another kind of request, which HTTP 2, I guess. So tell me what questions you have for the process of writing a route now that you've done one and seen the results.
My question,
No, go ahead, please.
my question is, why would you want to do /fruits instead of just /? Because if you just did,
Here, I'll show you.
okay,
So here, this is my API, things I like. When I go to /fruits, I get my 3 favorite fruits. When I go to /dogs, I get my 2 favorite dogs. All from the same server.
Okay.
So giving it that path allows you to request different sets of data, different queries from the data, based on what path you follow and which route you hit.
And
so
normally,
if you only did,
sorry, no, go ahead.
so if you only did / as your directory for both of those requests,
It would use the first one it found.
it would only give you back the fruits if it was the first one in the code.
Right, so if you wanted like an app.getDogs search by name and an app.getDogs all, you could put the dogs /name above this. It would hit that first and use it. But if there wasn't a name, it would go right past that to this one.
Okay.
So that's into server architecture. What was your question?
I think my question was basically where we're defining the constants of dogs and fruits. That data is going to be sitting somewhere else on our
Usually.
server. That then our path is going to be a little more directive to that on the server, whereas right here it's just for convenience of the exercise. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
But I imagine there'd be a way to, when we're setting the variable const dogs,
Because
to
I
equal
ran
like
it and it worked.
go
and then I
fetch
just
from the
hit save,
library.
And then saying that
From your
application.
database.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, from your database.
I mean, it could be a library file if you've got a very small data set, but usually it'll be a database. That is a whole nother piece of the puzzle, connecting your database and accessing it.
And if you had to have a key to get, if you're accessing an API and you have to have a key to go into that path business somewhere, right?
Probably not. You'd have to look up their documentation.
Yeah.
But it would probably, where's Postman? It would probably go in the headers. So those are the response headers, sorry. Up here, you can set key and value for request headers. That's often where those keys will live.
Okay.
The API keys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Again, check their documentation.
Sure.
Every API is built a little differently. Or when we get into auth, you'll be setting auth headers.
Yeah, I did it. And it
So
worked.
this is what I get when I
Like,
just,
ran.
so I
This was just, I
copied your
realized that I
code.
hadn't saved
So this
the
is,
doc
it's just
after
pushing back this empty, because I'm not
There's-
being specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
Cool
sense.
stuff.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Is yours working?
So it worked, and then I saved my app.js file, and it like crashed Node itself, NodeMon.
Because I don't think you have that dogs anymore.
Oh wait. Well, that was a test. So I did this, and it worked.
Right, go back. You have you have 2 copies of
Oh,
Minimum running.
Of this, and this is a.
Oh yeah, get rid of that second. It's trying to listen twice.
Got it.
Like, really
Okay, there you
good
go.
listener.
Okay.
You need a date, no, Mom.
I need to date NodeMon. Holy shit, get us out of here.
Is it Friday or is it Friday?
Such a good listener.
All right.
She wants to date the postman.
Not a uniform.
I like how he's an astronaut.
Yeah, this postman, not the real one.
All right. Questions.
I feel like that too.
Everything hurts.
I'm sorry.
No, I feel better now than I did.
You have
Yeah.
yeah.
For the last
Yeah.
question after the
I
last.
think he left the last one on Bannock.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I mean,
No,
it was also like a time constraint too, I think we would have all been like, why not?
Our blood sugar was.
I have sort of a tangential question. When we are installing like Express, cores, NodeMon, this kind of stuff, it installs this node modules folder.
Yes.
Why is that so freaking huge?
Because there are a lot of node modules. So let's do a quick tangential install, which is npm install git ignorer. -G, sorry.
What if we didn't do the G?
Then run it again with G.
Wait, what are we doing?
Ignore is spelled.
Oh, thank you. I told you misspellings will always get me.
Get,
Yeah.
and then
Install.
-G.
Control.
Get ignore.
Git ignore. It's a special type of file that tells Git, I don't want you to take these when I push.
Put my node on first, right?
Yes.
Yes, please quit node on.
NodeMon's like just basically like HTTP server.
A lot like it, yes.
Like for functionality reasons, we should just treat it the same.
Yeah.
So we have to like quit it if we want to. Quit it.
International symbol.
Anybody have trouble with installing git ignore? All right, now in your folder, I want you to run git ignore node.
I'm getting the zish command.
Did the install go okay? Did you install it globally?
Yeah, it says added 3 packages.
Did you? Huh?
I got a smiley face.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll come take a look at that in a second, real quick. What that?
So we just created a hidden file inside of our whatever folder we're working in, whatever directory we're working in, that will now we can't push files to Git.
Not all files. So this is what the git ignore looks like when it's generated by that npm tool. And a lot of this you don't need to worry about, but like it's like your error logs aren't going to be pushed if you're using yarn or npm. And where did it go? Node modules. So this says, when I push this package, I do not want you to push all the, you have that dependencies list, so people who pull it down can install the packages, but you do not want to push all the install files for your NPM packages to Git. For one thing, they're not your files. Like, you're using them, but they belong to someone. And secondly, they're huge, or they can be, depending on how big your project is. You don't want to bog down your GitHub repo with that. So when you're using Express, you will always want to do a git ignore node.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're only going to push the files that you've created, like the app.js and the
Package.json. Yep.
package.json.
Is that kind of probably what the guy did this morning who talked about running the whole branch?
No, it sounds like he pushed an incomplete version of the file and overwrote code that had been written.
Okay.
But
So the ignore just makes it so you don't have to deal with all the data. You're only dealing with the data we use and deal with.
yeah, and so when you'll have like environment files with like your secrets in them, you won't want to push those to GitHub because then they become public and someone hacks your Amazon Web Services. That happened in my class. Yeah, $1,500 in cloud service overnight.
Okay.
Wait, what are we putting our secrets in?
Nothing that matters now. But just get familiar and kind of git ignore is kind of a standard workflow step in setting up an Express server. It's that git ignore node. Any further questions? Good? Ready to go build all the servers?
Oh, the servers.
All right, great. Thanks, you guys.